All right, so this video will serve as a guide in setting up a hard drive for a modded original Xbox. This guide assumes that you already have a mod chip installed in your Xbox and you're able to boot into Prometheus, Cerbios, or whatever custom BIOS you are using on your mod chip. So this guide will be for the part after that, where you want to set up a hard drive, where you can load into a custom dashboard, where you'll be able to play games, you'll be able to do backups, all that good stuff. If you don't have a mod chip, I actually do sell two different versions of the ModShow mod chip on both my Etsy and my website, bunsrepairs.com. The first of these options is the Modsville USA V3 board. Comes fully pre-assembled with everything on it. It's ready to go, has BIOS loaded. Modsville USA does sell these on his website. It is his design, so I highly encourage checking out his site first, seeing if it's available. If it's sold out, then feel free to buy it from my Etsy or my website. And then I also sell a cut-down version of the Modsville board. This is a cheaper alternative. The only difference is that it just lacks the extra connectors for things like an LCD screen or an RGB lighting setup. You still can do that on the cut-down version. It's just not as easy because the connectors kind of make it easier and cleaner to set that up. For this tutorial, we're going to be using a 2 terabyte hard drive. You can go up to 16 terabytes with an original Xbox using Cerbios. However, it's a little bit tricky past 2 terabytes with the partition setup. I'll walk through that on the FATXplorer side when we get there. And then for connecting the hard drive to the original Xbox, I'm using the StartTech IDE to SATA adapter, which you can find on Amazon. I'll link it in the description. This is a little bit more expensive than some of the cheaper ones. I think I got it for about like $18, $20. However, it's by far the most reliable and the fastest one in terms of rewrite speeds, at least in my experience. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. So with FATXplorer opened on our computer and our hard drive connected to our computer via a SATA to USB adapter, you will need one of those. I'll link the one that I used in the description. But if you're going to be using it with FATXplorer to do this, you will need some type of way of connecting your hard drive to your computer. There are other ways of setting up these files, like using FTP over Prometheus, but for the purposes of this demo, we're doing it through FATXplorer. So in FATXplorer, in the top options, you're going to select Formatting Tools, Original Xbox HDD, and it's going to search for your hard drive. And here's the one that I'm using. Now, this one I currently have formatted to be an original Xbox hard drive, but we're just going to go ahead and reformat it. So you're going to select it, click Next. And now here at the bottom, in the top right option in this little box at the bottom, you're going to select Cerbios because we're using this with the Cerbios Xbox BIOS. Click Next. And we're going to be using it as a primary hard drive. So we're going to click Next again. Now here is where the size of the hard drive will matter. So it will matter for specifically the F drive because this is where we will store games and such. So I have a 2 terabyte hard drive. So this defaulted to 1.81 terabytes and a cluster size of 128 kilobytes. If you want to adjust it, you can just double click it and you can change the values. For the 2 terabyte one, I'm just going to leave it at the default and the cluster size of 128 kilobytes. There is a guide that I will link that will explain what cluster sizes to use with different hard drive sizes. But for now, we'll just go with that. Click Next. Okay, so here's the really important part. This is preloading the C drive files and the E drive or partition files that you will need. So you can actually find these on this website, hazeno.com. I'll link this in the description as well. But from here in the top right, you're going to go to the HDD upgrades menu and you're going to click up to 2 terabytes. Well, if you're using a 2 terabyte drive, you'll do up to 2 terabytes. So for this demo, we're using that. So we're going to click that. This will bring up the guide. And you'll just need to scroll down here to C and E drive zip files. I'm going to click that. It's going to take us to this page. And here you'll be able to select what dashboard you want to use. For this demo and for the C partition, we're going to be using the UnleashX dashboard for Cerbios. So we're going to click that. It's going to take us to Google Drive. We'll just download it. Download anyway. And while that's downloading, we will go back and we will also download the partition files. Now I'm going to choose the one with the sorted homebrew applications. I do recommend doing this because this gives you stuff like the DVD to Xbox, which lets you download backups from your disks, from your disk drive, straight to your hard drive, and a bunch of other things that are just useful to have. So we'll click that, and then we'll do the same thing, download anyway. And while that's downloading, for people who are over 2 terabytes, you'll just go to this guide here that explains it. It's going to walk you through very similar steps to what I'm showing you now, except step 6 is the really important part. This gives you the cluster sizes that you will need for your different hard drives. All right, so let's go back to FATXplorer. We will go to the data partition E. We'll select browse from zip, and then we'll click browse here. We'll go to downloads, and then we will go to the directory where we downloaded the C drive and E partition files. And since we are doing the E partition, we will select Xbox E backup.zip. Okay, so now this means that the partition E on our hard drive will be loaded with the files that were on that E zip. Then we will go to shell partition C. And now we will also do the same thing, browse for zip. You can extract it and do browse for folder, but it's just easier to just do it right from the zip that we downloaded. And you'll select browse, and then you will just click cdrive.zip, and that will load the zip file. And remember, make sure you have browse for zip selected. Don't accidentally do browse for folder. Okay, and then we don't have to worry about partition F because I'm not going to preload any games on it right now. So click next. Okay, and this will just run through everything we did. We'll just hit format, and now we will wait for this to format the hard drive with all the partitions and then preload all the necessary files. We are all done. The hard drive is now ready to be plugged back into the original Xbox. So I've connected my hard drive to my original Xbox using that StartTech IDE to SATA cable connector, and that is connected to an 80-wire cable to the original Xbox. So from here, we're going to go ahead and just go right into Cerbios. This mod chip is already pre-flashed with Cerbios on it. If you don't already have that, you will have to flash Cerbios yourself. Now, mod chips sold through my Etsy and my website will come with Cerbios pre-flashed right on it. And so we're just going to go ahead and launch into it with the default settings. And there we go. We're now booted into our custom dashboard. This is the UnleashX dashboard, and this is the default skin. You can change the skin to whatever you like. Also, this is a good time to check out the applications that came pre-installed, making sure they're all here. So you should see stuff like Config Magic, Controller Tester, DVD to Xbox. DVD to Xbox is a pretty important application. This one will let you rip the ISO off of your Xbox disks. So you can rip the ISO straight to your hard drive and play a backup of your games from your hard drive. So that's definitely a good way to preserve your disk drive, as well as also just having that backup there. So that way you're filling up that 2 terabyte hard drive. And yeah, so that's the video. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you have any questions. You can also reach out to me through my Etsy page or even my website as well. Thanks for watching.